This month's Council Member Spotlight is all about Mayor Bill Baird. Check it out.
I have always volunteered in the community and I was always really involved, but then I ran for school board. Whenever I got done with my term, I just felt like I had more to give. It's always been my goal from day one is to get everyone in the community connected and working together, and I always called it a spirit of community. Well, mayor's 24/7 and I have a job. I've had to work really hard at compartmentalizing, is what I call it. So during this time, I'm going to do work. During this time, I'm going to be mayor, even though I can get a call at any moment about mayor stuff. And so I've had to even work that much harder at setting aside time for myself or for family. So I like to exercise, I like to work out. Hillary's my wife. She actually goes to work out with me as well. And we do like to go downtown to the shops. We make sure we maximize our time together. I mean, I've got 2 kids as well, and we spend a lot of time with them, or whatever time they will give us these days. And I have a dog. I think most people kind of know me know I have to have a dog. We have so much development going on, and we're growing fairly quickly, so we have a lot of infrastructure needs, and sometimes we have gaps in infrastructure, and we've always managed to get by, but with this kind of growth, we're really having to be creative and look at our options and just have a good plan for water, sewer, roads, and more. If we want to grow the most healthy way, we need a diverse economy. We do have a lot of retail that's opened up here, and there's been new construction for retail. We really need to focus in the future on bringing some, well-paying jobs here, good, strong employers that want to be located in this incredible community of now 101,000 people. A lot of our workforce does commute to work still, so they leave Lee Summit to go to work, and it'd be nice if we could keep some of those citizens right here in our community. The times I feel most proud are actually when I'm in the community and I see the community come together.
We have Buddy in the house. Mr. Mayor!
The tree lighting is always very fun. I always feel very proud. It's just a great warm feeling. The same thing goes for when the council will do something and we come together and make a good decision together. There's been a few of those that you go home feeling like a winner. And one of them was when we put together the downtown farmers market, when we bought the land, and it became real, all that hard work. But also the Diversity and Inclusion Commission, that was months and months of discussions and conversations that were really hard to have, and we went ahead and moved forward and as a council all together, and I was very, very proud of that. And there are a few things that the citizens have done that have really helped us tremendously. First, in the middle of a pandemic, they passed a use tax, which is a way for us to collect sales tax whenever someone purchases online. That helps shore up our revenues so that we can continue providing those high quality services that our city provides. And it helps us take care of our employees, it helps us with our public safety and more. So I can't be more thankful to the citizens for that. Lee Summit has the opportunity to have a major impact on the economy in the Kansas City area. We already, as an economy, are rolling along with such a high median income. We have an amazing workforce here that are paying taxes, they're paying property taxes, they're paying sales taxes, they're keeping our economy rolling, and we really are getting the attention of all our neighbors. And I think that what's going to happen is you're going to see the opportunity for us to really get everybody's attention when businesses start moving here, bigger businesses and more so. You should try to find a way to give back to the community, whether it's at the city level, citizen committees, or just participating in some of our community conversations whenever we have those opportunities. It's worth coming out of your shell or taking that leap of faith and just showing up and saying, what can I do or how can I help? The more that we do this together, the more wonderful the community is.
Thanks for watching the Lee Summit Rundown. I'm Laura Ingeman. See you next time.
October 2nd meeting of the Finance and Budget Committee. Can we get a roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez,
Here.
Councilmember Lovell, absent. Councilmember Hodges,
Here.
Chairman Shields.
Here. Wonderful. Next item on our agenda is approval of the agenda.
I move for the approval of the agenda.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Hodges, second by Mayor Pro Tem Lopez. Can we get a vote on that, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez,
Aye.
Hodges,
Aye.
Aye. Do we have any public comments today?
Here, I haven't received any cards and I don't.
Next item, moving on to official business, is 2023-5880, approval of the September 6th action letter.
Chair,
Yes.
I move for the approval of the September 6, 2023 Finance and Budget Committee action letter.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Hodges, second by Mayor Pro Tem Lopez to approve the September 6th action letter. Can we get a vote on that, please?
Councilmember Hodges.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez,
Aye.
Chair Shields.
Aye. All right, moving on to TMP 2768, an ordinance approving amendment number 4 to the budget for fiscal year ending June 30, 2024 is adopted by ordinance number 9704, ordinance number 9705, ordinance number 9706, ordinance number 9707, and ordinance number 9708 by amending the authorized expenditures, approving the transfer of money between funds, and amending the pay and classification plan for the city. Gentry.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. This evening before you, item TMP 2768 is budget amendment number 4 for the current year budget. So I'll kind of go through briefly the highlights of this amendment. The first major component of this amendment is the granting the authorized expenditures and adding that to our budget for the Prodeo grant that was approved and accepted by the council back in June. This is $685,000 going towards that project. And this will be placed in our grants and settlements fund and be oversaw by the Development Services Department. Next, we have a transfer going from Development Services General Fund over to the fleet. They're doing an upgrade to one of their vehicles for to make it safer for their staff will be out in the field, going to a heavier duty vehicle being out on construction sites. That's a $10,000 transfer from the general fund to the fleet fund, and also increasing the fleet expenditures by $10,000 to accommodate that purchase. Next is the police department has a request for use some of the funding. Back in 2003, the Missouri legislature enacted a law which allowed the municipal courts to charge a $2 fee per criminal case as it comes through the system. At that time, the expenditures were limited to using the money for biometrics. Back in 2013, the state updated the law and expanded that to pretty much any expense related to detainees or the housing of prisoners. At that time, the city council passed an ordinance, move forward with the city's municipal court to start charging that fee. And to date, they've collected about, at the end of FY23, about $128,000 into that fund. And the police would like to use $114,124 of that money towards their video camera upgrades of the detention area in the jail, which is an authorized expenditure for those funds. Next one. This is something new. We talked about this last year as we got towards the end of the year. As we get towards the end of the year, departments are getting towards reaching their the amount that they'd been authorized to expend for the year, but they were paying for things that had been ordered in previous years due to supply chain issues and things. They were being paid for out of that year. So as we move forward this year, we decided we would work to roll those purchase orders for things we know that were ordered out of the prior year and approved as part of the prior year budget into the FY24 budget. So as we have a list, and you can see in the Exhibit B, there's the kind of the detailed listing of the various purchase orders. These purchase orders are rolling forward. $462,000 of it is the general fund, and it's $4.2 million overall. And the large sum, that's kind of made up of about 3 different groups of items. Part of that is about $1.5 million for various vehicles that are on order, including ambulances for the fire department, a couple of trucks for public works, and a couple of police vehicles and some other vehicles. So that'll be increasing to the fleet fund. 1.5 million for the training tower that's being built for the fire department out of the public safety sales tax. That's under construction and going. And then the 1.8 million for Green Street improvements, and that's for various contracts for design, development, management, and some of the preliminary work for the Market Street Plaza across the street. The next item is the ITS project rollover. Historically, the ITS department has done this rollover as part of the capital improvements project, a rollover that's done in the springtime. Since these are the smaller projects and they know where they stand at the end of the fiscal year because they've closed their projects and they have a pretty good time when things start and finish, that they need to roll over $438,000, or ready to move forward with the rolling of $438,000 of authorized expenditures from last year's projects over to this year so they can continue with those projects and pay for those expenditures. Well, that's kind of the transfers and increase in authorizations. Next, we have amendments to the pay and class plan. The first one comes from our central building services. Currently, they have a facilities maintenance worker 1 position, and to plan for give this opportunity for this position and for growth in the department, they're asking to add a facilities maintenance worker 2 position in their department. To be able to move up the position, that person would have to be in the maintenance 1 position for at least a year. There are certain certifications and coursework that they would need to complete to be eligible, plus have a good performance review to be able to move into that position. So they don't anticipate any financial impact during the current year, but potentially in early in FY25. But they like to add this at this time so that individual, because they can start working with that individual doing the coursework and the certifications. In the airport, they currently have a facilities maintenance worker 2 position. So so there's no conflict or an overlap there. They'd like to rename that position to airport maintenance worker. No impact on the physical, no change in salary or benefits for those positions. It's just a change in title only. ITS would also like to change the Chief Technology Officer title to Director of ITS. Moving forward, again, no physical impact for that change, just strictly a title change. ITS would also like to change the, as part of the FY24 budget expansions that were approved, they were approved to add 1 more network administrator position. They would like to make this a tiered position with the current one. So they'd like to change the current position to a senior network administrator and leave the pay grade the same, and then make the new position, leave it as network administrator, and then place it at a lower pay grade level. So there'll be no impact to the fiscal year budget, actually a slight savings when the position is filled. Then the last one is ITS is requesting, as we're getting ready to roll out and start the adventures with a new enterprise resource planning software, ERP system, which is in the process of being evaluated at this time, the proposals. They would like to add a 0.5 FTE of an ITS project manager for the remainder of the current year, and then potentially into next year as this is implemented. So there'll be no impact. They have vacancy savings in this year's budget to cover the expenses for this position. And if we had to move it into next year, the cost would be approximately $52,000. That could be covered out of the ITS budget, our general fund, or out of the bond proceeds for the implementation part of the project. So if any questions?
Mayor Pro Tem, since I can't see my Zoom right now, do you have any questions?
Nope. That's a lot.
I just wanted to ask kind of to speak to a couple of things more generally, and I'm not sure, Mr. Gentry, if you'd be the best person, or Ms. Wortelman, because we kind of talked about this a little bit outside the meeting, but sort of the overall philosophy behind why we're doing so many budget amendments, which I think is a good thing, but I think you want to kind of talk just a little bit about that, and then also why we're seeing more and more of these different tiers of titles and kind of how that reflects the employment market that we're facing and what that's kind of accomplishing for our employees to have, you know, all these different 1 and 2 levels and that kind of thing.
So Betty Wertelman, Finance Director. There's a host of reasons why we're having frequent budget amendments, and a big part of that, I think, is the newness of our city manager and a lot of our staff, that we are kind of rethinking a lot of our processes and rewriting policies and processes to fit those new ideas. But then also, there are lots of activities going on now, different grants and just a high level of activity. Relating to the changes to staffing, we are doing an awful lot of setting up promotional tiers so that when we have examples of multiple people in one position, you may have some people that have higher qualifications and experience than others in that same position. And so by setting 2 or more different levels of that same position, you can kind of segregate the levels of experience and qualifications into 2 or more levels and take those people that have higher skill sets and higher experience and pay them a little bit higher than the other people that are in the same job classification. So it's sort of a recognition of different levels of qualifications and experience, and also kind of serves as a promotional ladder to encourage people to get additional training and certifications.
And I think something we talked about a little bit is that it sort of is a continuation of the work that we've done to address compression issues, right? That you don't want a whole lot of people who you have someone brand new and someone who's been there 20 years with experience and certifications and everything. You want to be able to recognize that they are maybe performing at a little bit of a higher level over that time. Yeah.
That's correct, yes.
All right. No.
Madam Chair.
Yes, please.
The only follow-up question I would have, Ms. Wortelman, is, you know, these are quite a bit of amendments to the budget, but some of this also, does it have to do with the recent bond initiatives that have been approved? Does that impact our budget as well? Is that part of these new job changes and personnel changes?
I think it's entirely possible, yes, that some of the things that we're trying to set up to move forward with all these new initiatives requires a sort of restructuring of staff and attracting certain people into roles to fill as we move forward with all these projects for the future.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
And I think one other thing that we'd kind of discussed before this was, and with this is something maybe I want the committee just to say if they have any comments on that, rather than having giant amendments in the middle of the fiscal year, towards the end of the fiscal year, we're trying to address these issues as they come up month to month and try to keep things as current as possible. So is that something that the committee is happy to have, kind of these smaller presentations more frequently rather than doing one very large cleanup at the end?
Yeah, I would say I agree with that as well.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I'm fine with it as well, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Gentry and Ms. Wortelman. Appreciate the additional clarification on those points. Seeing no further discussion, do we have a motion on TMP 2768?
Chair, I move to recommend to City Council for full approval of agenda item number TMP-2768, an ordinance approving amendment number 4 to the budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024, as adopted by ordinance number 9704, ordinance number 9705, ordinance number 9706, ordinance number 9707, and ordinance number 9708 by amending the authorized expenditures, approving the transfer of money between funds, and amending the pay and classification plan for the city.
Second?
Do we have a motion by Councilmember Hodges, second by Mayor Pro Tem Lopez, to move TMP 2768 to council with a recommendation of approval? Can we get a vote, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez,
Aye.
Councilmember Hodges,
Aye.
Chair Shields.
Aye. All right, that moves to council. All right, next item on our agenda is TMP 2805, an ordinance authorizing the execution of an agreement between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and the Missouri Department of Public Safety in the amount of $9,675.15 for equipment for the Lee Summit Police Department's co-responders and authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for the same. Deputy Chief Bunker?
Good evening, Madam Chair, council members. John Bunker, Lee Summit PD. It is exactly what you said. We're always looking for grant funding. I know you've heard me say this several times, but it does help. We use it all over our police department. This one specifically will go to enhance equipment with our co-responders. They're not necessarily employees with us, but they are our mental health partners that are embedded in our police department that do respond with our police officers, both on active calls, but then also, and probably more importantly, on those return calls and follow-up visits, just to help maintain level of care. So some of the things that this will go towards, communication is mentioned in that, and to be specific about that, would be a portable radio, so that they can communicate with us as well as we can communicate with them. But we would check that out to them on each of their shifts, as well as some other, mobile devices like a iPad. It does total just under 9,700. So. Any other questions?
Do we have any questions from the committee? Say that I love it when we bring in grant money. Please keep doing that. Hearing no further discussion, I'd look for a motion.
Chair?
Yes.
I move to recommend to City Council approval of agenda item number TMP-2805, an ordinance authorizing the execution of an agreement between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and the Missouri Department of Public Safety in the amount of $9,675.15 for equipment for the Lee Summit Police Department's co-responders and authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for the same.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Hodges, second by Mayor Pro Tem Lopez to move TMP 2805 to the City Council with a recommendation of approval. Can we get a vote, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez,
Aye.
Councilmember Hodges,
Aye.
Chair Shield.
Aye. That passes as well. Next item is a presentation on the investment portfolio report for the quarter ended June 30, 2023.
Good afternoon.
Marcus?
I'd like to provide a brief summary of the city's investment portfolio for the final quarter of fiscal year 2023. So,
Can you state your name and title? Just for the
Susan
record?
Brockhouse, I am the Cash Management Officer for Treasury. As of June 30th, 2023, the total market value of the city's portfolio was $256,888,392. This is an increase of more than $29.8 million over the prior year fiscal ending balance, which was $227,052,051. You'll note that of our total portfolio holdings, 73.22% is held in U.S. Treasury securities and 19.57% is held in U.S. government agency securities. Safety continues to be the primary objective for the city's investment portfolio, followed by liquidity and yield. As we've discussed throughout this year, with the higher yields, our efforts have really been focused at extending our portfolio beyond 3 years. So you'll note that if we look at our distribution by maturity range, we now have over 14% of our securities that are held in that 3 to 5 year maturity range. I'm going to skip down. During this quarter, we had 5 maturities, and 3 of those were U.S. Treasury notes and 2 were U.S. government securities, agency securities. Their total par value was $19 million, and you'll note from the report that the yield ranges on these 5 maturities was from 0.177% to 0.797%. If you look at the top of page 5, you'll see the purchases that we made during the quarter. There were 6 total investments made for a total par value of $23,770,000. And the yield range on these new securities is from 3.461% to 4.179%. With rising interest rates, we've had the opportunity for greater investment earnings or yields on our new security purchases. However, as we've spoken before, it does have a negative impact on our mark-to-market adjustment. The fiscal year 23 mark-to-market allowance was negative $7,484,454. But as a reminder, our general operating practice continues to be to buy and hold securities until maturity, thus avoiding any loss on our sale of securities. Questions?
Mayor Pro Tem, did you have any questions?
No, I just more of a comment. I think that's great. Again, considering how volatile the market has been, for us to have good return, along with Councilmember Hodges' comment and yours about grants and increased revenue, that's good. And no higher taxes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Seeing no further discussion, we will move on to item 2023-5884, presentation of the 2023-2024 budget calendar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Rick Gentry, Budget Manager. So this evening, we're presenting the kind of the first public presentation of the FY24 budget calendar. We present this annually. It's kind of our planning document for the budget process as we work through the budget process for the current year, as well as start planning, preparing for the FY25 budget. As we prepared the calendar this year, we took into consideration several feedback from our budget techs and staff. We went through this past year. It was a pretty compact calendar, and we recognize that. So we've tried to stretch things out and allow more time and spread and smooth things out, so not to overload staff with their other work as well. The budget team met with this, went over this. We included several things that have not been in the calendar in the past, or we haven't had for a few years. Well, one of the things on the first one, you'll notice there's Questica. We're going to be doing, we're getting an update to our budgeting software at this time right now is going on. So we'll be doing some training with staff as we get ready to roll that out into production for our staff. And next month, we'll be bringing forth the first quarterly dashboard. We haven't had those in a couple of years. So we'll be working on those and presenting that to the committee for review next month. On down in, as a result of the new ordinance passed for the general fund balance, in February, you'll note on there, we'll have the general fund balance update. That'll be about the same time that the audit will be finalized and presented to the committee. So we'll be coming forward with the update on the general fund balance at that time. And then in a couple of additions down in the months of April and May, we've added a placeholder for second meetings. We did that last year and actually come in very helpful as we had the election right that followed the first meeting in April. So we had to postpone to that middle calendar date, and then which helped us go on to the later date in May. So, but then there's placeholders. So as we move forward in the spring, if we need to add additional meetings, we can do that. But as the committee's pleasure to have more meetings, or how we structure that process in the spring. So, any questions?
Councilmember Hodges, anything from you, Mayor Pro Tem Lopez?
Nope, not at this point.
We'll get that put up on the city's website so this budget staff will know what the dates are coming up then. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, that is the last item of business on our agenda. Next is roundtable. Do we have any roundtable comments? Staff roundtable.
No.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Shields. I have given you a copy of a report that wanted to just share with you. We had previous discussions about outreach to our local businesses for procurement purposes. And so this report indicates the steps that we are taking. We had a meeting with procurement staff and came up with these actions that were things that we could do to open the door, so to speak, for local businesses to make it a little bit easier and more feasible for them to possibly conduct business with the city. We have reestablished processes to allow for acceptance of paper bids for those businesses or those business people who are not well equipped with technology. And so we are taking steps to allow them to be able to present those in person or to be mailed to City Hall. But of course, there are deadlines on those, so most people should be delivering them in person so that they can be stamped in with a timestamp to ensure that they were delivered before the deadline for bids. We are having procurement staff open and record any paper bids in the same opening time frame that electronic bids are opened using the public purchase process. We are also in the process of ordering display boards that will be placed in both the north and south entrances of City Hall. And on those display boards, procurement staff will be presenting lists of information on currently active bid processes. That those pages will be updated at least weekly with any new bid processes that are open. And the boards will also include information on how to access public purchase if people choose to use that method. And also there will be information about submitting paper bids if businesses or people choose to use that method. The boards will also provide contact information for all the procurement staff that are handling the specific processes. We are also providing these lists, sharing them with the Chamber of Commerce and asking them to post it physically in their building and or to share it on their website with their chamber members and any other interested parties. We are, procurement staff is prepared to offer assistance to any vendors that need help on the public purchase website and or with submitting paper bids. So we are planning to more actively make potential vendors aware of that option. Procurement staff also offers occasional training and information through the Chamber of Commerce. So as the Chamber requests that, or as they have businesses that request it, we will reach out and provide that training. So all of these steps have been implemented except for those where we have the boards ordered, and as soon as we get those, that will be put in place. And then we also plan to incorporate language capturing these items and have it as a revision to our procurement policy in the near future when we have a complete revision done. Thank you.
So glad that this is in place now. I think it'll be really helpful to local businesses, small businesses that want to have the opportunity. So this is are adjourned at 4:32 p.m.
Great. Thank you all.